Hi guys, hope you're enjoying the lovely sunshine at the moment. It's a bit too hot for me personally, yeah, we're back for another video, and today I'm going to be doing another character file review, this time of Auntie Wainwright from Last of the Summer Wine. Now, Last Summer Wine is a great series, and I'm doing this on the channel for quite a while now, all of the different character file reviews, so if you've missed some of the previous character file reviews, please check them out. I do have a character file review playlist of all the Last of the Summer Wine characters I've done over the last couple of years. I've been making these videos, so please check them out. That would be really appreciated if you did that. Thank you. So today I'm going to do a character file review of Auntie Wainwright. Auntie Wainwright was played by June Alexander. Now she is probably best known for playing the role of Ilga Hogden in Coronation Street for 23 years, from between 1964 and 1987. I think it was a character I wasn't that much aware of before making this video. I mean, I have seen Coronation Street, but not that far back, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a character file review of Auntie Wainwright. So Auntie Wainwright made her first appearance as a guest role, which is a lot of these Last of the Summer Wine characters do. They make a little appearance in a Christmas special or just a random episode, and then suddenly they become a fixture of the show. With Auntie Wainwright, she popped up in 1988 for a Christmas special and sort of became a part of the Last Summer Wine family. I think they even have Christmas dinner in the first episode she's introduced, which is quite nice. They have it all together. And Auntie Wainwright is a character that's a bit similar to Arkwright. So if you've seen Open All Hours, she's very similar to that kind of character. She's very protective of her money. She keeps her wallet close to her chest, sort of thing. She doesn't want to spend money or do anything like that. And she sells tat, basically. She just sells utter rubbish, and she ends up making people buy it for absolute fortune, a bit like Arkwright in Open All Hours. But funnily enough, they were created by the same person, Roy Clark. Yeah, so Auntie Wainwright would basically sell tat, basically, and pass it off as being, you know, that's how much it should be. You want it on a cheaper price? No, you're not getting that sort of thing, which I always find interesting. I also like her dynamic with Norman Clegg, because Clegg is so terrified of her, because to him, she's like, you know, some kind of wicked witch. She's like, you know, horrible and stuff like that. He just like, because she just makes him buy stuff. But when Compo goes in there, she doesn't make him buy anything because she knows that he's bought. So that's quite interesting, that kind of dynamic. And you always have those characters that I think really work well with Auntie Wainwright, particularly at the start, where you get a character like Seymour. He would go in there and buy loads of random stuff, you know what I mean? And then Foggy would go in there and buy random stuff. And do you know what? Auntie Wainwright as a character was really good. She was really good for filling in plots. So, for example, in the story, if, I don't know, Compo and Clegg, you know, and Foggy want to go skiing or something, they'd buy the skis from Auntie Wainwright or something. Or if they, in an episode, very iconic episode, I think it's called Stop That Bath, is where the bathtub, you know, obviously famously goes down the hill. That bathtub was actually bought from Auntie Wainwright's for Howard to go to the arena anyway. So that's interesting. Iconic bits like that came from Auntie Wainwright's, and then they get adapted by Wesley. So interesting characters like that, the fact that Auntie Wainwright was introduced, and then her character became a very key prominent role into how it controls things, like throughout the the series, and the events are contributed by her as well. But what I did like was she had two members of staff that she always had working with her, and that was Smiler and Tom, and they were just sort of like her puppets. She would make them do stuff for like below minimum wage, I would have thought. So they would just be forced to do utter nonsense. There's in Christmas specials, they dress them up as like, you know, elves and stuff, and Father Christmas, and she makes them do all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, she's so tight that she just has all the money to her. Which I find really interesting. She's got a very tight character. Money close to the chest, as I said earlier. But I do like her dynamic with other characters, because other characters think that she's a bit weird. You know, she lives by herself, and all she does is, you know, sell money. And it's funny when random people go in the shop, she like she's on the pounce. She can't wait for someone to come in the door, so then she can basically make them, you know, buy something. You know, so I always find that interesting, and that always, you know, getting, you know, the two Wallies, you know, Smiler and Tom, to dress up as, you know, buffoons, or I think there's an episode where like Smiler dress up as like a clown, It's like that because Auntie Wainwright rents him out for kids' parties and stuff like that. So I always find that an intriguing thing that they always did with her character. And the fact that I think towards some of the later series, they make it out there. They said that she went to the doctor and said there's something wrong with her. I need to start spending money. She needs to start spending money. So I always found that a bit funny because obviously she's so scared of spending money because she wants to. She's that tight, as I've said several times during this video. But yeah, her connection with the trios I always thought was really good. She always sort of all gets on a bit more with Foggy Dewhurst in a way because Foggy would say, "Oh, can I hire this?" rather than "Can I buy that?" and stuff like that. Instead, "No, we're returning it." You know, he would make it very clear because obviously he's quite a tight guy. Anyway, so that was always interesting. But in like a universe of sitcoms, I could see Auntie Wainwright and Arkwright really is a relationship. I could see them two together because they're so similar in characters, which I find really interesting that character, they're so similar in the ways they act and what they do in the story, which I find interesting. That's just a little note thing, really. Now, I think Auntie Wainwright, as she was introduced in the late 80s, but I feel like from because they brought her back in 1982, so she came back in 1988 and then 1989, and then 1990 she didn't appear, 1991 she didn't appear, but 1992 they brought her back, and this time she was more prominent. So throughout the series, all the way until 2010, she was in the whole series, pretty much every episode, just there really, becoming a real strong part of it. Obviously, the actress Gina Alexandra, I think she brings a really great energy to the series, and I think her character introduction I think was really good. You know, her being in the show as well, and her sort of not getting along with everybody, but also trying to con everybody, which I always thought was interesting. And something else, her being related to Howard, I always found just like it was random. It was just suddenly she's related to Howard. I think that might be in the first episode. I can't quite remember. But that's an interesting thing, because I know there was another character in very early on in Series 1 and Series 3, Mr. Wainwright. I don't know if he's related to them at all, any connection, I don't know. I mean, he definitely more relates to Howard, though, I can tell you that. But Howard and Auntie Wainwright being related is an interesting thing, a bit more of a family there, which I don't really know if he's obviously not his auntie. She's obviously not his auntie because she's obviously a lot older. Well, not older, but not that much older in a way. But it might be his auntie, or it might be his cousin or something. I can't remember what they specifically say in the episode, but that's an interesting little detail that builds on the Lost of Someone lore in a way. That's an interesting thing, really. There was a really cool moment though for Auntie Wainwright where she sets up traps to stop people from leaving. Like suddenly, I think it was like a metal like thing pulls down, and suddenly it blocks the door, and the trio are trapped in there. So don't move. You can't move. You have to move until you buy something. It's like if you touch it, you have to buy it. Sort of things like that, which I always found really interrogating. So you can see the fear from Norman Clegg, why he hates that shop so much. I think there's only a handful of times he actually manages to run out of the shop, very rarely in the series. But yeah, I find it funny that he's always sort of, captured. And there's a great scene actually that I've just remembered, just thinking about it now. I think it's an episode. It's a wedding episode. I can't remember whose wedding it is now. It's gonna really bug me. But she goes with the blind man Eli to like this wedding or funeral or whatever, and she goes with him, and they walk up, and she puts her eyes closed like that, and when she gets to the charity box, they pretend they can't see it, so she pretends she can't see it, so she goes round, and I found that really funny as a gag, because she obviously just absolutely never wants to pay money, because she literally wants to keep all that money to herself, a bit like Scrooge in a way, but she's a lot more happier. Which I find so interesting. She's just obsessed with money. I just find that really interesting for her character as well. She's never invited out to any of those sort of the coffee mornings that the lady characters have in Lost in the Summer Wine. She's never invited out to those sort of things, but she does go to the wedding in the last episode of Lost in the Summer Wine, How to Not Cry at Funerals. So she is in that, and she actually gets dressed up for that. I think she rents out like a costume to wear to the wedding as well. So I found that she actually rented out some stuff for that. So that was interesting as well. But yeah, I think her addition to Lost in the Summer Wine as a regular cast member in 1992, I think, really was a good idea, because you brought back Foggy Dewhurst, and Foggy Dewhurst is going to buy some nonsense, and they're going to do some stuff, so that works out for the series as well. So I'm really glad that they did bring her back from those few episode appearances. A bit like what they did with Wesley. He popped up two or three times, and then bam, he was a main cast member. So I found that was a really good thing that they brought her back just to be part of the series until it ended. And at the start there was no Smiler working for her, and no Tom, obviously, because Tom wasn't even a thought, I don't think, until Combo died. But yeah, I just find that really interesting, that her and her dynamic with her staff as well, which I find interesting. I really love her Smiler and Tom, that sort of family unit in a way, because they sort of bicker with each other, and she just takes the mick out of them and just makes them do utter nonsense all the time, and I find that so great. And it's just a really great character, I think, of Auntie Wainwright, and Jean Alexandra, I think, does that role really well, and really good justice as well. I don't know how different her character on Coronation Street was. I mean, I have to find out probably in the future. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a video soon. I mean, I don't know what character file review you'd like to see me do next. Please let me know if you want. I did do a poll earlier. Well, actually, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, actually, where Entwistle won the votes, and then suddenly Auntie Wainwright won the vote, and I had already done the Entwistle video before the poll had finished. So so please let me know what other characters you want to do. I did think about doing Smiler or Crusher, but any other characters you would like me to do, and yeah, just let me know. But thank you anyway, and please subscribe. Hopefully we can get 400 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be really great. I think we're on 314, so any help is really appreciated. And thank you, and bye.